What's up, y'all? It's Ty, and we're back here with a non-stop video talking about the 15 dumbest trades in NBA history. Make sure to go subscribe to my guy. Also, get your coffee out, okay? Get your coffee. If you're not drinking coffee, you're not doing life right, okay? Get your coffee out and drink some coffee as we watch this video together and enjoy. All right, let's enjoy. Talking about the 15 dumbest trades. Why is the first one I see Rudy Gobert? What's wrong with Big Ru?
Did you ever watch a trade go down and immediately ask yourself, what the hell was that GM thinking? These are the dumbest trades in NBA history. Starting with a 2022 trade that was maybe the biggest overpay in NBA
Why are they hating on Big Ru?
history. We're talking about Rudy Gobert, who got traded to Minnesota for 5 players.
They send Malik Beasley,
Role player.
Patrick
Role player.
Beverly, Jared Vanderbilt,
Role player.
the number 22 overall pick, Walker Kessler,
Could be good. Probably will be good eventually, but it's a number 22 pick at the time. Okay.
And 5 first-round picks.
Oh, he didn't want to include Bolmero in this? Yeah, they got Bolmero too, who is out of the league. 5 first-round picks, okay. If the Timberwolves remain relevant, none of them, which they should be with Anthony Edwards, none of them will be lottery picks. Is it an overpay? You guys can be the judge, but the Timberwolves made the Western Conference Finals this year, and I'll let you be the judge.
Granted, Rudy was a 3-time Defensive Player of the
4 now.
Year, and
He's
his
4 now.
production on that side of the floor is undeniable. But offensively, Gobert is often just a bystander who can't dribble, pass, or shoot. And
That's
he'll be
valid.
earning upward of $40 million until 2026.
That's valid.
Also, 2 of the guys the Wolves traded for him actually played better defense than Rudy in 2023.
Man, what in the gas up Jared Vanderbilt am I listening to?
If that wasn't catastrophic enough, the Timberwolves could have also traded for Kevin Durant that same summer. In 2022, without Rudy, the Wolves won 48 games. And with him in 2023, they won just 41. In 2024, the
Cat was out basically all season.
Timberwolves have finally figured out how to incorporate the big Frenchman within their offense. But with 2 other All-Stars and a great supporting cast, they should have been a winning team even without the Gobert trade. But hey, if
I mean, yeah, they would have been, but not to these heights. The reason we made the Western Conference Finals is because of Rudy.
their team keeps winning, then maybe it wasn't such a bad trade after
That's
all.
what I'm saying. The fact that this makes 15 dumbest trades is crazy, especially with where the Timberwolves were at this season.
And we all know Rudy was paid like his basketball skills cure cancer. But the GM who orchestrated this trade is widely considered the sneakiest NBA GM of the last 20 years. Danny Ainge began his executive career in 2003, and his ruthless decision-making earned him the nickname Trader Danny. In 2007, Ainge's genius
This is crazy. Pierce, Garnett, and Allen is crazy.
shined to the fullest.
Dunkin' Donuts? See a Dunkin'? Y'all see Dunkin' Donuts? Hey, Dunkin'.
He traded for Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, who had 17 All-Star selections between them and would win the 2008 title in Boston.
Look at
But
Doc.
the best part is that all that Ainge gave up was a young and unproven Jeff Green and Al Jefferson, a few picks, and a couple of guys who were on their last NBA.
It's crazy. With Rudy Gobert, 4 first-round picks. For this, a few first-round picks. Like, it's crazy.
legs. And this was just the beginning of Ainge making other general managers look stupid. In 2017, Ainge bamboozled the Sixers for an extra first-round pick when he gave them the number 1 overall pick, which they used on the broken Markelle
Ew.
Fultz.
Ew.
While Ainge got the 3rd pick that became Jason Tatum. Later
Crazy.
that year,
It's crazy.
Ainge
Tatum is crazy when you compare Tatum to Markelle Fultz. It's
basically
crazy.
conned the Cavaliers when he gave them an injured Isaiah Thomas and Jay
This
Crowder
one was
for
bad.
Kyrie Irving.
That was bad.
But Ainge's coup de grace and his absolute GM masterpiece was how he fleeced Billy King and the Brooklyn Nets. In 2013, Kevin Garnett, Paul
This is bad. Like, what was Brooklyn doing?
Pierce, and Jason Terry were a combined 110 years old and were on 1-year deals when Brooklyn made one of the most boneheaded trades ever, going all in with a weak hand. For the ancient package from Boston, the Nets paid a king's ransom, 5 players and 4 first-round picks, which
For old heads. They're old.
later turned into Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. After
You wonder, oh, well, Ty, how are the Boston Celtics so good now? This trade is why.
the Nets
Imagine if Brooklyn still had those guys.
got dominated by LeBron in the 2014 playoffs, Pierce and KG left, and Brooklyn was stuck with a bad roster and no first-round picks, which crippled their franchise
They're on one-year deals. They're not locked up either. That's horrible.
for years. However, that Nets catastrophe is nothing when you compare it to what the Clippers did in 1976. The Clippers were then known as the Buffalo Braves.
1976?
What they did that season was the worst year of executive decisions, not just in the NBA, but in all of sports. See, the Braves had 3 Hall of Fame players
Bob
in their
McAdoo.
prime, plus a Hall of Fame coach. And in the
I don't know
space
who
of
that
just
is.
1 year, they messed it all up. First, after he lost the 1976 conference finals, the Braves fired coach Jack Ramsey, who would go on to win the NBA title with Portland the very next
Is that
season.
Bill Walton?
2 months later, when the ABA merged with the NBA, Buffalo got incredibly lucky to select Moses Malone in the expansion draft.
They got Moses?
Malone was already an all-star in the ABA, but when he came to the Braves, they inexplicably kept him on the bench. When Malone protested, they traded him just 2 weeks into the season in exchange for 2 first-round picks.
Wait, why did they keep Moses Malone on the bench? Did they still have Bob McAdoo? Imagine Bob McAdoo and Moses Malone.
Malone would go on to win 3 MVP awards, along with 12 more All-Star
For
selections.
2 first-round picks?
And he's in the top 5 all-time in rebounds and top 10 in points. But the Braves weren't done yet, because in 1972, Buffalo drafted Bob McAdoo.
Oh,
And
they
by-
ain't have Bob McAdoo yet. Okay.
In 1976, McAdoo was already a
Oh,
4-time
wait, yeah, they did have Bob McAdoo. What am I talking about? That was 1972, yeah. McAdoo was it. That's what I'm saying. McAdoo and Moses?
All-Star, 3-time scoring champion, and the league MVP. But that clearly wasn't good enough for the Braves, who traded one of the top 3 players in the NBA to the Knicks for John Gianelli, a guy who averaged
What?
8 points per game. But that's not all, folks.
Wait, I'm confused. Is there a why to this? That's like trading, let's see, who's the top 3 player in the league? That's like trading Luka Doncic for, let me think, Jaden McDaniels?
Because the Braves also had Adrian Dantley, a future
Bro, they could have had Bob McAdoo, Adrian Dantley, and Moses Malone on the same team.
six-time All-Star and 2-time scoring champion. Dantley averaged 20 points per game for Buffalo and won 1977 Rookie of the Year, after which the Braves traded him for Billy Knight. Granted, Knight was an All-Star, so this move wasn't so terrible, or at least it wouldn't have been if
Billy Knight, the 2K GOAT. But what are they doing?
the Braves hadn't also traded Knight after only 1 season. If they kept those 3 future Hall of Famers and Coach Ramsey, the Braves could have dominated the league for the
They
next
probably would have. I don't even know if it could have. They probably would have.
15 years. But like a drunk millionaire, they squandered everything for 10 cents on the dollar. However, Bob
Who was
McAdoo
the
and Moses
GM?
Malone weren't the only Hall of Fame centers to get traded for virtually nothing. In fact, almost every great big man of that era got exchanged
was
for
sad.
peanuts. In 1975, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar decided that he was done with Milwaukee and demanded a trade to either New York or LA. And despite having the 2 richest teams bidding for the best NBA player, the Bucks couldn't muster more than Junior Bridgman, Dave Myers, and Elmore Smith, none
Like, come on. Bridgman was fine, but come on, man.
of whom averaged more than 13 points per game in their career.
Like, come on, man.
10 years earlier,
What are we
another
doing?
franchise
Kareem's one of the best players of all time.
was stuck in the corner
The
and had
GOAT
to trade the
wilt.
best player in the NBA. In 1965, the San Francisco Warriors got into financial trouble, and their only way out was to trade Wilt Chamberlain.
The GOAT.
However, the return for the man who averaged 41 points and 25 rebounds for their franchise was extremely slim. Connie Dierking, who averaged 8 points per game and got traded away just 1 year later. Paul Newman, who retired after 3 years and 13 points per game. And Lee Schaefer, who retired before playing a single game for the Warriors.
For the greatest player of all time. How, like, I don't understand how the NBA worked back then, but it's just, it's blasphemy. Imagine trading Jokic for, I don't know, like, just randoms, literally randoms. What are we doing?
Meanwhile, Wilt would go on to win the title with the Sixers. But after just 4 years, he demanded another trade. And just like the Warriors, the Sixers also dropped the ball, receiving 2 players who averaged less than 10 points per game, and Archie Clark, who was an aging all-star past his prime. But as dramatic as Wilt's lopsided trades
horrible.
were, it's even crazier what happened to his arch-nemesis, Bill Russell. Before the 1956 NBA draft, the Celtics coach and GM Red Auerbach first traded all-star Ed Macauley and Cliff Hagan to the St. Louis Hawks to move up in the draft and secure the second pick. The Hawks didn't want
that's not even that bad
to draft Russell because their owner was racist, and so they were...
Bro, like, this is so sad. Like, the way the world was back then, and I'm not saying it's perfect now, but, like, this is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I mean, that is sickening. Like, good for them that they missed out on one of the greatest players of all time. Like, that makes my respect level for Bill Russell go up way much. Like, I don't think Bill was better than Wilt, but that's sickening.
Glad to make the deal with the Celtics. Still, Boston was in a bad position because the Rochester Royals also wanted Russell, and they were picking number 1. But since the Celtics owner also owned the Ice Capades, a hit ice skating traveling show, Auerbach convinced Rochester to pass on Russell in exchange for several Ice Capades performances over the years.
Dog, what? Like what?
Somehow, both the Hawks and the Royals accepted those deals, and Russell became a Celtic, where he would win 11 championships in the...
And this is why Boston was a dynasty, because, you know what?
Next 13 seasons. However, this wasn't the last time Red Auerbach fooled somebody to create a dynasty. After he gambled and drafted Larry Bird in 1978, before his final year of college, Auerbach wasn't done, and he pulled off an even bigger miracle in the 1980 NBA draft. The Celtics had the 1st and 13th overall selection that year, but the old fox Auerbach decided to trade those 2 picks to Golden State for Robert Parrish and the 3rd overall pick, which they used on Kevin McHale,
who went number 1 that year? And they got Robert Parrish?
Combined for 16 All-Star seasons with the Celtics. In the span of just 2 years, Auerbach formed the greatest front court in NBA history. And
do you realize how good that team is? Bird, McHale, and Robert Parrish.
Media dubbed the trade for Parrish and McHale the steal of the century. But
that's
the Celtics'
nuts.
biggest rival, and a franchise that's tied with Boston with 17 NBA titles, is also no stranger to dumb
The
trades.
NBA back then was so, I don't even want to say, it was just sad. Like, it's sad.
The LA Lakers won their last championship in 2020, and they kept largely the same team in 2021.
They ruined their whole
They had
team.
the best defense in the NBA. But after the unlucky injuries to both AD and LeBron, the Lakers got bounced out of the 2021 playoffs in the first round, and then they stupidly decided to part ways with the best perimeter defense in the NBA to add another layer of golden paint. In one of the worst deals in Lakers history,
Russell Westbrook's been a part of multiple horrible trades in his career.
LA sent out Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Montrezl Harrell, and 1 first-round pick in exchange for a 33-year-old Russell Westbrook and his max contract. Because of that, they also couldn't pay Alex Caruso and Dennis Schroeder, which plummeted their defense.
Which basically means they traded them in it as well. So, like, you don't just trade what you traded, but you can't sign those guys, so you basically trade them too.
Killed their floor spacing. Even with LeBron and AD, LA played ugly, inefficient, and ultimately losing basketball for a year and a half. And they could do nothing about it because Westbrook's massive contract constricted them from making any meaningful additions. Finally, during the
Westbrook's been so bad.
23 trade deadline, the Lakers got rid of Russ, after which they had the best record in the remaining part of the season. But for some franchises, the worst mistakes don't happen when they misjudge the existing NBA talent, but the future ones. The worst draft trade ever happened in 1996, when the Hornets drafted Kobe Bryant, but then immediately traded him to the Lakers for Vlade Divac, who spent just 2 years in Charlotte.
Like, come on. You wonder why these organizations are where they're at, and the Timberwolves are part of it. What are we doing? Who is making these decisions?
Charlotte and averaged 11 points per game. Then there's also the 1998 draft when the Bucks traded Dirk Nowitzki to Dallas for Robert Tractor Traylor, who averaged just 4.5 points
If y'all like me, y'all don't even know who this dude is. Like, come on, man.
per game in 2 years in Milwaukee.
Who is this
while
clown?
Dirk scored over 30,000 points
Dirk
for the
was
Mavs.
so good.
The 1987 draft, when the Supersonics gifted Scottie Pippen to the Bulls in exchange for Olden Polynice, also deserves to be mentioned. However, in the
I'll say this. The reason organizations are so good is because of trades. It's because of trades. It's so important to have a good GM. So important to have a good GM.
Last 10 years in the NBA, most big lopsided trades happen when a disgruntled superstar wanted to change teams. In 2012, James Harden wanted to get a max contract from the Thunder, who lowballed him and offered him $5 million
That's
less.
crazy.
The Beard felt disrespected, and the Thunder panicked, swiftly trading him to the first bidder. Daryl Morey, whom Harden currently hates more than anyone.
Daryl Morey is a liar.
This was crazy.
Be a part of an organization that he's a part of.
Correctly believed that James was a superstar.
Obviously, working hard to get back to being a championship contender, and we feel like James Harden is a player we can build around.
He is. James Harden was so good.
And he got him for 20 cents on the dollar. In the next 9 seasons, James averaged almost 30 points per game for the Rockets.
So good.
This trade was the beginning of the end for the Thunder's dynasty. And a guy who wasn't always Harden's biggest fan.
We said, I would hate to play with this guy. Yeah. He dribble, and then shoots a step back three.
Did the exact
Okay, but was he efficient?
same thing as James 20 years earlier. In 1992, Charles Barkley felt that he was rotting in Philadelphia and wasting his prime on a bad team. So the Sixers agreed to trade Barkley, who was arguably the second best player in the world. But all they got for him was a season and a half of Jeff Hornacek and a couple of bench riders.
That's
Some
so sad.
Honorable mentions are when Indiana traded Alex English to Denver just before he blossomed into
Alex English in Denver was a
an
stud.
8-time All-Star, or when the Spurs traded the best rebounder in NBA history to the Bulls for Will Perdue, who averaged
Come on, dude. Like, who are these GMs?
4 points and 4 rebounds.
Who are these
per game.
GMs?
If you want to learn more about the NBA,
Like, I don't understand. Who are these GMs in charge of making these trades? Fire them all. Fire them all. From the racist to the guys that don't want to pay superstars. What are we doing? What are we doing? GMs gotta be better. Shout out to my man. Great video. Drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.